Howdy, folks. This is Apple Geek, and the final season of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, Season 9, is upon us. The time has flown by, and yes, I do still have some wish list items, some things I'd like to see before the series ends. Unfortunately, life has gotten rather crazy busy for me, and it's been difficult to find time to even do any reactions to fan content or anything like that, let alone wish list and whatnot. So, but I am quite literally out of time, and I'm having to rush this, so I apologize. I don't have a cool artwork slideshow for you guys. You just have to stare at me while I list these things out, but that's where we're at. I need to get this done, obviously, before the season actually premieres. So, here we are. So I will try to make this as brief as possible. Really, I'm keeping it down, pretty down to earth on this. This is just kind of the things that I think are actually reasonably realistic to achieve, and I would want to see before the series ends. And really, I actually don't have anything in regards to the main six or even Starlight Glimmer in this. It's I'm really focusing more on some secondary story or character story arcs that I feel need more attention. Have been a little bit neglected here. So I'm just gonna try and get through these quickly. Pretty much all of these are ones that I have talked about before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. And these aren't necessarily in any particular order. So that said, I do have to start with the Scootaloo Backstory. This is something I've been asking for. A lot of people have been asking for a long time. Definitely needs to happen. I really am hoping we get some hard, clear answers on, is Scootaloo actually an orphan? What happened to her parents? Why can't she fly? Like, realistically, why can't she fly? Is it a medical condition? A psychological issue? You know, what is it? And the biggest question of all, if she is not going to be able to fly, is she going to be able to find some kind of goal that's actually attainable? We saw her start to move in this direction, most recently here in the washouts. I'd really like to see her finally actually find something that is a viable goal, if not her dreams of flight. So hopefully we'll get that wrapped up. I would also like to see a Derpy episode. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before too. This has been one of those characters that we just, we all love, and there's been little hints dropped in us, here and there, fan service wise, throughout various episodes that allude to some things in her past. She wasn't born this way with the shifted eyes. And she used to be a good flyer, but as her condition got worse, she went down in the ranks. Later, she was at the hospital with bandages over her eyes, presumably trying to get surgery to fix something. Didn't work. There seems to be a story formulating there, and I really hope we get a chance to hear that story before this is all said and done. Even if it's not necessarily focused on her, but just comes into view as a piece of a larger story. And I actually would love for that to be tied back into the Scootaloo story, if at all possible. And this is really kind of a pipe dream here, but I just envision Scootaloo finally confronting her inability to ever fly or something head on, and along comes Derpy to give her a little pep talk about how to deal with the the disability that sends your life in a direction that you didn't necessarily expect. I see a lot of similarities there, and I feel like that could be just a super awesome special moment. Probably one of the most that would probably make for one of the most epic tear-jerking episodes in the entire series if that actually happened. I'm putting that in the most likely won't happen category, but one can dream. So, but if not that specifically, I still hope we get something a little bit more story-wise for Derpy before this is all said and done. So we'll see. Also, ones I mentioned before, Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon, they just pretty much completely dropped off the radar after Crusaders of the Lost Mark. We've never looped back around to Diamond, Tiara, and her mother, Spoiled Rich. Still know basically nothing about Silver Spoon, how the two became such good friends and whatever. Would just love to see that explored a little bit more. I know the writers probably think their story is done. They were the bullies, now they're not. Time to move on, but just the bombshell they dropped on us there at the end with Diamond, Tiara, and her mother, I just wish that would get explored just a little bit more. So we'll see if the CMCs have an episode about that or something. That would be great. Also CMC related, Babseed. She dropped off the radar after season 3. I mean, she was mentioned in Crusaders of the Lost Mark as having finally gotten her cutie mark, But I mean, she was supposed to have started up like a Manhattan branch of the CMCs. We've never heard anything more about that, to the best of my knowledge, and whatever. It would just be fun to see her one more time as part of something, be it a reunion or some adventure. Some problem the CMCs actually have to go to Manhattan to help her with, or something like that. Hey, the CMCs have been to Mount Eris now. So I would say, most any destination is a place that they can get to if they need to badly enough. So we'll see if that happens or not. Zecora is another one that I've talked about many times, and we still do not have a Zecora backstory. I know it's interesting. Her character was originally supposed to be much more involved in the show, like actually being sort of a mentor to the main six, sending them on adventures or whatnot. But before the show actually launched, her character got rewritten and used much less, obviously. And I have so many unanswered questions. Where are the other zebras? Where is she from? Why did she come to Equestria or even Ponyville or the Everfree Forest specifically? And so on and so forth. It would just be fun to have a little more story around her character finally to help tie up some loose ends there. She's just such a fun, unique, interesting character. I would like to know a little bit more before this all ends. Another big, not big, but kind of a long-running arc that's been happening here is Spike and his past, his family, lack of parents. Where did his egg come from? How did Celestia get it? Why did it get? Why did Twilight get selected to try and hatch it? And all this stuff. I mean, we actually dealt with that It kind of came out of nowhere in Father Knows Beast, where this thing came up, the possibility of him, reuniting with his father. Obviously, that was a fake out. It wasn't real. It wasn't really his father and all that. And I appreciate that Spike made peace with the situation, realized that Twilight and company are actually his real family. But I think the little guy honestly deserves to know where he came from and how this all came to be. And that's kind of like the one big question mark left for him. He's done a lot of growing up. He's got his wings. He's reconnecting with his, dragon culture through, Smolder and Ember and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. But now that that's been thrown out there at the end of season 8 here, I would just really love to see him, see his past finally explained and how this all ties together. So don't know if we'll get that, but again, one could hope. Now here's the really big one for me. Big Mac and Sugar Belle. We need a wedding. We need to finish this off. I mean, those two have fallen so completely in love with each other. It's been amazing to watch over the course of several episodes, and how that's progressed. I mean, Sugar Belle even moved to Ponyville to be closer to him and stuff. It's obviously pretty serious. And, yes, we had one wedding back in Season 2. It was for characters that were literally just introduced in those episodes, so we knew nothing about them, and the whole thing was hijacked by Changeling Invasion. So the wedding didn't go quite as planned, obviously. I think this would be a whole different situation because, well, obviously we aren't going to have the Changelings attacking again because they're pretty much all reformed now. I imagine that there would have to be some kind of conflict. It's going to be more than just the wedding, obviously. But, these characters, Big Mac and Sugar Belle, they've been around for quite a while. They're well known and loved by the fans. And honestly, just with the whole thing with Bright Mac and Pear Butter and whatnot, I mean, really what I would love to see is to have Pear Butter or the VAs for Pear Butter and Grandpear come back. I've heard there's some returning guest celebrity voice actors this season. I don't know. I haven't seen the list of names. Don't know who all is coming back. But if they could get them back, Felicia Day and William Shatner, and bring those characters back in, and of course Bill Newton as Bright Mac, that would. I think there could be a situation where like Grandpear and Granny Smith are sharing stories about memories they have of Bright Mac and Pear Butter from the past. And the Apple siblings are getting to hear more about their parents, learning more. So if there's flashback scenes, it'd be awesome to see those characters a little bit more. So again, I'm kind of classifying that as at least that piece of that as in the not very likely category. But at the very least, I'd love for there to be a wedding and finally have that story arc completed. So, and honestly, I can't wait for Sugar Belle to be a part of the family too, and to see that, expand a little bit there. So the Apples have been through some tough times, and I think they deserve to have a little joy come back into their household again with some new family members. So hopefully that will get a chance to happen. And yes, more recent additions to the show, the Pillars and the Young Six. These groups specifically, both of them I feel like could have been utilized more than they have to date. The Pillars, we really haven't seen all that much of them. I mean, we did cycle around each one of them a little bit at least, although we didn't even see Stygian again, just heard mention of him, so that was slightly disappointing. But just overall, they haven't really had as big of an impact on this world as I thought they might throughout Season 8. I'm sure there was story writing reasons why that was and stuff, but they have so much knowledge and wisdom from the Equestria's past that they could share with present day, and furthermore, their magic is what the elements of harmony were originally formed from. So there's some significance there, and I'm really hoping that they're going to come back into focus a little bit here in the final season and will be relevant somehow in the big finale. And likewise, the Young Six, they were not used nearly as much as I thought throughout Season 8. Definitely was getting better towards the end of the season there. And like in the Catacombs with the Tree of Harmony, and then in the actual finale and whatnot. So I mean, that gives me hope that they're actually gonna be much more significant in their role in here in Season 9. I really think they're going to be significantly in focus for like probably the heroes of the finale. Don't know for sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, with the Pillars, the Elements, the main six and the Young Six, you've essentially got 3 generations of elements of harmony. It looks like, or it's looking like it's heading that direction. So I'm really curious to see how that all converges and how that plays out for the big finale here. So. And that's basically it in terms of listing character arcs. I mean, there's a lot more that I want. It's just so many minute little things that take too long to list it all. And I can mention other things as we go through the season and whatnot. I hope like at the end that one thing I really just not necessarily a character story thing, but just in general, like animation wise, like I would love for there to be a scene somewhere in the finale or whatever where they basically take like just every character rig that we've got, like every character that's been in the show, and just dump it into one huge scene or something, like everything including the kitchen sink. And if you could manage to throw a kitchen sink in there too, animation wise somehow, that would be fantastic. I will laugh very hard if that happens. But just again, just tying everything all back together, looping back around the old stuff, it would definitely pile on the feels. That's for sure if that happens. So, and that kind of segues into what will the finale look like, and this is sort of like a wish item as well as just a prediction. I've talked many times about this the possibility of a villain team up, an alliance of evil, or whatever you would like to call it. If it's actually been named as that, I have no knowledge of that. That's just what I'm calling it. But so many villains have coming on the show. Some of them have reformed, obviously, like Starlight and Discord. But right now, we've got Cozy Glow, T-Rex, and Chrysalis all out there looking for revenge. Pony of Shadows, if you want to bad enough, Magic sealed them away. Magic can unseal them again. And it's kind of scaring me how much knowledge Cozy Glow actually has of magical artifacts and spells and everything here with her time at the friendship school. So, and, even stuff like for King Sombra, that was left so open-ended. I've thought many times, like, there's 10 different ways from Sunday you can write him back in if you want to badly enough. Are they going to go that far back and dredge up that old villain? Are they going to introduce somebody new like Grogar, a old Gen 1 villain? There's a lot of different ways this could go. I've even thought that there's Grogar or somebody else that's been pulling strings behind the scenes and we haven't even been introduced to them yet. So it's really hard to say for sure. All I know is that if there's, each one of these villains really almost succeeded in their evil endeavors as it was. So if some of these villains start combining and teaming up, that's going to be a big problem. And as I've mentioned before, there's all these allied creature nations now and stuff. Equestria's been expanding its friends. into these other nations, and now with Young Six helping to bridge those gaps too and whatever, I'm thinking there's going to be some super huge conflict that's going to require all the allied forces to come together, and all the ponies and all the changelings, the hippogriffs, the griffins, the yaks, and so on, probably even the dragons. And heck, I'd really like to see the Kieran / Neric come back in there with Autumn Blaze too. I think they could be an ally as well. So, and of course Discord and the Wonderbolts and whoever. Let's just dump the kitchen sink in there. It would be amazing. So, well, the big one though is the Tree of Harmony. I can't wait to see what they do with the tree, because now that I'm just going to call her Harmony. Now that Harmony has actually manifested as an interactive, conscious entity. And also you've got Chrysalis and Cozy Glow and some of these villains actually having direct knowledge of the tree and its power. I think that tree is now going to be an actual focus. Like it's going to be targeted now, and that could be very, very bad if that happens, because that's obviously the source of power for one of Equestria's greatest defenses, namely the elements of harmony. So is Harmony actually going to reveal herself to everyone and get directly involved with this? How's that all going to work? I don't know. I've got a lot of theories, a lot of ideas. I'm sure you guys all do too. All I know is however this goes down, this is going to be just a truly epic ending on this. I mean, we know that the writers actually knew that Season 9 was going to be the final season while they were still working on Season 8. So that being the case, they've had plenty of time and opportunity to really dial in the story threads to figure out what they want to finish up and what they all want to tie together at the end here. So I really think they're going to do some awesome stuff for us this final season. Remains to be seen just how awesome and feelsy and everything it is, but it'll be an experience for sure. So that's my wish list. Like I said, there's probably a lot more things I could list out. There's still some character traits on the main six that could stand to be addressed that have been going on for all these years and whatnot. But honestly, the secondary characters for me is kind of like the biggest thing right now. There are just so many characters with so many possibilities that I'm hoping we'll be able to circle back around to some of these before this is all said and done. So. And I said that, the bad news is there's very limited time to do this in, but again, they've had a lot of time to prepare. So, again, I'm optimistic that we're going to get some really cool stuff here. So, the hype is real. It begins soon, and I will hopefully see all of you soon for the final season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Stay tuned.